going insane. I need a podcast to fill my brain. Movies and Task, Reddit, Minute of Sports, betting $1 and Joel the Game, Quora and questions from real listeners, all that and more on Joel the Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast,
Joel. Oh, I was thinking of this last time. That what I've been doing the past few times is to account for the delay. I've been waiting until I hear you say Joel before I say Joel. But I think that's the opposite of what I need to do.
You need to say Joel before... Yeah, that's what you need. If you want it to line up on the Skype, you need to say Joel before you hear me say Joel. But it doesn't. If we don't use the Skype audio, then it doesn't matter because you can just line it up.
Well, even last week we did use the Skype audio, and I just cut because they were so distinct that I could just cut them and layer them on top of each other. So I think it sounded all right. So I mean, maybe that's just maybe I'm accidentally doing it better. This is fine. Whatever.
Anyway, great. Welcome to episode 111. Which, because we use base 10, is nice 111.
Yeah.
So that's pretty monumental, I would say.
That is absolutely monumental. I really thought, last week, 110, that was a pretty significant number. But, I mean, come on, 111.
Right. 3 significant digits. 110 only has 2 significant digits.
How foolish we were back then to ascribe such monumentality to that moment.
Yep.
Now this is monumental.
This is truly monumental. So here we are, the final day of August as we record, August 31st.
It'll never be August again.
Assuming it's not a leap year, then there will be an August 32nd, but I think this year is not
enough.
A leap year.
We'll have to wait and see what the president decides. It's only 8:48 p.m. at time
well,
of
it's
recording.
9:48 here.
Oh, that's true.
And in Washington, D.C., so maybe by the end we'll have the announcement of whether there's going to be an August 32nd or not.
I'm excited. This is my favorite day of the year.
I mean, the listeners will already know because they'll be listening to this after now, but for us, this was truly monumental time to be recording.
Truly, we're witnessing history here.
Yes, very good. So we're recording here for episode 111, and I always feel like there should be more intro at this point, but there's nothing. That's like a standard thing that we say. So, why don't we talk about whether we got any emails this week, or do we do the Sports Minute first? I don't even remember the order.
I think we usually do the Sports Minute first, but I am on board with mixing things up.
All right. This is a monumental moment in our podcast. We're about to swap the order of the things we do in the intro. So, really, this is unbelievable. I'm glad that all of the listeners are able to be here for this special occasion. So, do we have any emails this week?
In fact, we do.
Would have been really funny if you were just like, nope, all right, on to the Sports Minute.
We've been saved from that joke by an email from Cephalopod Master. He writes to us with the subject line, "I am a dumbass."
Well done.
This is a pretty hefty email, so we'll take some pauses in here to really break it down. So Cephalopod Master says, first of all, congratulations to Alex for his 5th consecutive Joel the Game victory, a truly monumental achievement that no one else in the world has managed ever. I expect the Guinness World Record team to be present in future episodes to witness your challenge beyond human limits. So that's a pretty solid idea.
Yeah, we should invite Guinness Human World Record. Guinness World Record staff. If you guys are listening to the podcast, send us an email. You can find our email at our website, which is alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website/index.html. Very easy to remember. Just head on over there and click on almost anything, and it'll take you to our email. So send us an email if you want to be present for Joel the Game.
For sure, I can vouch actually for how easy that email is. How easy that website is to remember. Because for some reason I went to the website in the past week. I don't remember why anymore.
You probably wanted to email us.
I was thinking about it, but there's.
Or you wanted to buy an unfinished product from our shop.
That could be it easily. Yeah, so check that out. You know what I found there, and I remember this from, I don't know what episode it was, but I at one point mentioned, I think in an episode, that I would post pictures of myself to the website. I'm sure it was relevant in the context of whatever we were discussing.
I was like, time. I have no memory of that.
Avid listeners can go hunting for what episode that was, because I also have no idea. But I don't know if anyone has actually visited the website, despite the several emails we've gotten. So I encourage everyone to visit the website again, because apparently I actually did follow through on that bit.
Well, I mean, I assume that Cephalopod Master has visited the website because he keeps sending us emails, and I don't know how else he would be doing that, aside from visiting the website.
Right. Well, he hasn't. I don't think it's mentioned in this email. I guess we can check in again at the end. But yeah, let us know what you think of that new feature on the website. Anyway, let's continue here. He says, I am also excited to see that there's another member of the audience actively engaging with the podcast. I hope many more funny emails will come. Anyway, I've been thinking about the Wisconsin Welcomes You sign series that Nathan brought up in episode 108. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember.
Okay, just making sure. He says,
Sorry, I just looked at the pictures that you posted.
They're pretty good.
Oh my gosh. All right. Go on.
All right. He says, I have a couple ideas that, following the theme of some past discussions, sound funny to think about, but may be extremely boring in practice, which, that's what I've been struggling with all along here. So let's see what he's got. He says, the first idea is simple. I think Nathan should take a picture of himself in front of the sign, wearing the same outfit and taking the same pose as himself in the podcast cover image, and then Photoshop Alex from the cover image into the appropriate place so that we end up with 23 pictures that look really similar but slightly different, which can be used as cover images for some of the episodes, and or printed as custom postcards that can be sold as merch. So this is pretty ambitious. I do like
this sounds
idea.
Like a lot of work that we're never going to do.
But just think about how funny it is to think about.
It is funny to think about. I think why go to the Wisconsin welcome sign and take a picture and Photoshop me in when we could just Photoshop a bowling alley ourselves into a bowling alley like we did for our commercial. So yeah, it's a good idea, but I think it's a little bit too high effort for us.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. So the second idea is also simple, or at least simple for me and for Alex, but not for Nathan. Which, I think that's the same as the first one as well, but
yeah, I don't have to do anything for the first one.
He says, I think Nathan can visit each of the visitor centers in his car and spend an hour at the visitor center parking lot surreptitiously working on his catapult and record himself in the process. Maybe also eat something from Culver's so that the viewers know you're actually in Wisconsin and not a fake set somewhere. That also gives some flexibility to Nathan, because on days when Nathan doesn't really feel like working on the catapult, he can say he's working on the catapult, but really just spend an hour eating cheese curds. So, in my opinion, this one is very similar to the other one, except even more high effort.
It is, except that you working on the catapult is like ostensibly something that you want to / should do anyway. But also, definitely not gonna happen. How is the catapult coming, by the way?
There was a point. I feel like the last time we talked about it in the podcast, I was at the exact same point of progress as where I am right now, because
it's incredibly surprising.
It's been a good chunk of time since I've done anything with that. So, listeners, if you're curious, I don't know what episode it was, but certainly if you go digging back through our entire catalog, you should be able to find the recording describing what's going on.
And honestly, what a treat that would be, just to listen to all of our episodes over again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm strongly considering it. If you haven't caught on by now with some of the references we've made to past podcasts, we were looking through some of our former episodes before recording this one, and I have to say we've put out some real high quality content in the past.
I'm right now just sitting here, like picture in picture you on my screen, and then the rest of my screen, just because I closed another tab, but is Joel the Podcast episode 85, Alex and Alex and Alex and Alex and Alex. And it's our cover photo has Rob Lowe photoshopped over your face, and what's the name of the guy photoshopped over my face?
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe photoshopped over my face.
Yeah.
And I think this is just the perfect background to look at this while I'm recording the podcast. So.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. All right, there's a little bit more to this email. We'll close it off. Lastly, I have a request for a future episode topic. It's been a while since you did a top 10 ranking video, and I would like to hear your thoughts on top 10 types of clothing / accessories. Just to clarify, I mean types of clothing and not specific brands or something. For example, are jorts better than hats? Which is obviously true.
I mean, sorry, you added the which is obviously true?
No, that's in the email.
That. Okay.
It is obviously true, but...
Well, I don't know about that. Depends upon the hat.
Whoa. Whoa, some controversy. I guess if it is a denim cutoff hat, then that's better than jorts.
A denim cutoff hat?
like the bottom of the... Like, you cut off your jorts, and then you've got this, like, tube of denim that was the...
And you just wear it on your head? That would definitely be better than jorts.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea. We might end up doing that. Although I think you have a lot of faith if you think that like 2 of the items on the list are going to be actual clothes. So,
given our track record, that's fair enough.
One of them's already can predict one of them's going to be the entire Earth. So, thanks for the suggestion.
Spoiler
though. We probably will use that.
Yeah, well, keep your eye out for an upcoming episode featuring top 10 types of clothing. And then there's a link actually at the bottom of this. You know how sometimes it's like sent from whatever.
Sent from my iPhone or whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, we're not sponsored by Apple.
not sponsored. This is not sponsorship advice. This says sent with Joel the email, and Joel the email is a link. And if I click it, it takes me to proton.me, which appears to be an actual email service.
Yes.
So I was expecting a joke of the caliber that we usually pull off, but this seems like it might be some.
I.e. low.
Yeah, this seems like it might be some genuine consumer advice. Although personally, we are not endorsing your use of Proton since it is not truly Joel the email.
I have to tell you something. This is totally wild, and I could be wrong since it's been such a long time. But I think it's possible that Joel himself might use or have in the past used Proton, like as an email service.
You think so?
That rung a bell, and then when I just visited it just now because you said that, it talks about privacy, which is Joel is big on privacy. So it seems possible.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. Feels pretty on brand, so we can
I
ask
don't know.
him
I
in a
don't know
few
for yeah.
weeks
We can
here.
ask him. Yeah, I mean, I obviously won't tell us anything, but
No, I'm sure he'll be happy to share. Maybe we can have him on as a guest.
yeah, we
We'll
should
have to.
interview him. We haven't had him on since episode 1, so
Oh, that's
um,
not true. He's been on at least one episode since then. He might not have said anything, I suppose.
oh yeah, he was sitting there and didn't say anything. That's true.
Yeah, but
That was not a good episode.
yeah, well, they can't all be winners. When you've made 111 of something, you know, at most 110 are good. That's the rule.
I think we have at least 2 episodes which in the title say that they're bad. So
Yeah, that may be true. I'm not going to deny that. I'm also not going to check. So anyway, we're a solid 16 minutes in now, and that's the
let's
end of
do
the
the
email.
sports
So
minute.
why don't we jump in?
To the sports minute though, right? Because we said we would do that after the email.
Yeah, for sure. This is we're treading new ground here, so my transitions aren't going to be up to par.
Yes. All right, here we go. Sports minute begin. Well, in the wide world of sports, baseball is going on, and nothing else. Well, nothing else important. So baseball is continuing to go on. The Phillies are doing well, but the Braves, who are also in their division, are doing much better, which is unfortunate.
So does that
So
mean is there only one team from each division that'll make the playoffs?
there's one. There's no. So there's one division winner from each division. And there's also 3 wild card teams. So the Phillies
Across
are currently
all divisions, right?
in each across all divisions, but one in each league. So
Right.
there's 6 total wild card teams. So the Phillies are in first place in the wild card.
So that's pretty solid.
Yes, and the first place wild card team gets to host at least 2 playoff games. So that's the goal, and that's the end of our sports minute. So
I feel like is it just the time of year that we're in? I feel like we used to have a decent amount of stuff in the sports minute. Or is
it's
it
partially that. Also, I could have talked about other sports. You just asked me about baseball, so we spent the entire time talking about baseball.
okay?
But yeah, Purdue football plays their first game in like 2 days, I believe. So we could have talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
You know what?
But
I know
up?
we're outside the sports minute, and this is tangentially sports related. By which I mean it's basically entirely sports related, but it's more of like it's not like the outcome of a sporting event. But I've been seeing these articles, and I don't know if they're like just people writing about this because it's ridiculous, or if this is something that like has a chance of actually happening. But I've been seeing these articles talking about Ben Simmons coming back to Philadelphia.
It's not ever going to happen.
Okay.
I don't
I
think-
really didn't think so.
No, I don't think it's going to happen. Basically, I think he's like going to be a free agent or something soon,
Yeah.
and he wants to come back. He said that he wants to come back to the Sixers.
Uh-huh.
But I can't imagine that they would sign him. I mean, ever since they got rid of him, he's been terrible and barely played. So yeah, and plus, obviously, everyone in Philadelphia hates him now. So, yeah, there's not really much chance of that, in my opinion.
The famously welcoming Philadelphia fan base would.
Philadelphia fans will boo someone who just like went somewhere else in free agency, and Ben Simmons like refused to play for them and demanded a trade. So there's not a lot of
Yes.
love for him here.
A pretty dramatic fallout. So, okay, let's end the sports talk there because I'm fairly confident that anyone listening to this is not going to know anything about who Ben Simmons is or any of the context here. But it was good for me to know.
I gave
so,
a little bit of context about him wanting to leave, so
Yeah.
Hopefully you weren't totally lost, David.
Yeah. And you can vicariously appreciate my slightly deepened understanding of the situation.
Yeah, and
so,
Danielle will listen to this episode, and she does know who Ben Simmons is. So honestly, 50% of our audience will know what we're talking about.
That's a lot better than I thought. We're getting some like real advanced metrics now. You know, we've got such a broad audience, hitting all the demographics of people who do and don't know who Ben Simmons is.
Truly a podcast for the masses, for everyone.
Yeah. Incredible. All right. Speaking of podcasts for the masses, what is it that we're going to drop on them today?
Today we are going to go back to something we've only done a couple times, but I think it's been pretty good. I actually don't remember doing it before. I'm just assuming it's been pretty good. Which is short stories. It was kind of an evolution of our movie thing, which just ended up being way too long. But to just kind of like get a prompt, talk about it for a little bit, and then do another one. So that is what we will be doing this episode. Excuse me. Thanks as always to The John Fox. Do you want to give the full website in case the listeners ever want to visit here? / you ever need to listen back and find it out again?
I think I may have said this the last time we went to this website because it looks kind of familiar now. So first of all, the website is thejohnfox.com/2016/05/story-idea-generator. And it used to be, like when we originally did this, like 4 years ago, got content from this website, that you would click a button and it would just like pop up a random prompt, yeah? But now it's this like list of all the prompts, and I can just like scroll through and read them all.
I probably said this last time you brought this up. I remember this is not like new, but like how wild is it that this website, which is obviously from 2016, he went back and updated it to change how it worked. Like, why? John Fox, email us. I want to know what's going on here.
Yeah, first of all, explain yourself, and second of all, I kind of did like it better before, so if you could just...
Did he get, like, feedback from people who were using it who were like, hey, I wish I could just, like, see a list of ideas instead of, like, having to click this button over and over again?
Yeah, so actually there are some comments on this page.
Sorry, that was terrible. There we go.
Much better. And I'm scrolling through, and I don't see a whole lot about the change in the site. It's usually
just
people...
The comments are probably talking about Ben Simmons, right?
What?
The comments are probably talking about Ben Simmons, right?
Almost exclusively, yeah.
Generally pro or against?
They're mostly against. This must be a very Philly-based site. They're also... Most of the comments are from, like, many years ago, which is to be expected. But then there are a handful from, like, 2022.
So this website is still in use by other people besides us.
Yeah, we could post a comment. I wonder what would happen.
Probably nothing. What do you mean? I mean, it would be a comment would be posted.
Yeah. So this is really interesting.
A comment that says, "Viz, send us an email."
I'm seeing multiple posts that have this format to them. It goes like this. Somebody will say, like, can anyone help me write a short story? It must contain the following words. And then they'll give a list of random words. And then they'll say, the story has to include all these words at least once. It's urgent. I need this very soon.
This is obviously homework.
There's at least, I've just been like randomly scrolling through, and within the first 10 comments, there's at least 3 that are like this.
Read what are the words? Read one of the comments of one of the words in one of the comments.
Okay. All right. The list of words in the first comment is tasty, demon, violent, water, paper, bird, fear, change, measure, thirsty, weather, shook, silent, lonely, road, and girl.
Okay, so like when you initially said that, my reaction is like, okay, this is somebody who's like got an assignment for like with like vocab words to like write a
Right.
story using the words. But those don't really sound like vocab words. The
No,
only
it
thing I can
doesn't
think of is maybe they're words vocab words for someone who's like learning English. But even if that were the case, why is demon in there?
Oh.
That's not like the others.
Yeah, so it could be like an English as second language type of thing, because a couple of these do look like they could be English learners. Interesting. So here's a reply to that comment, actually. Well, I don't know if it's a reply, but it's another comment that appears to be related. Maybe the story could be about a lonely girl on the side of the road who an evil demon is trying to possess. Whenever she gets in a car with someone, she causes an accident, but then her body floats out of the car and gets back to the side of the ride. The weather is always rainy on the stretch of road she's on. That's actually the first sentence, but I had to stop and breathe in the middle there. She has a friend who finds the corpses to be very tasty. He's a bird, a vulture. There was an experience when the girl was younger that made her silent, and it shook her. You don't find out what it was till the end of the story.
This person should what?
Shelby's come to investigate with a very confused look. The water from the rain often floods the road and makes it difficult to drive in. The girl is very feared by the demon who is trying to possess her. That seems backwards. Any comments for the listeners here?
What is this?
This is the John Fox, the story generator that we were telling you about before we started recording.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's real weird.
It is. So we were discovering before we actually got started that there were some comments down here. And there's this kind of like, here's a list of words. I need a story that includes them all. It's urgent. And we're trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
So if you want to know more detail, you can listen to this episode. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit here, which might not be super engaging for the listeners.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've got follow-up questions, you can send us an email.
Okay.
Do you know how to send us an email?
Yeah. Don't you send an email at like joelthepodcast@gmail.com? Or is it more than
Pretty
that?
close.
Okay.
It's not bad. You can listen to the episode. We also tell you how to send an email.
I was gonna say, I remember you guys mentioning it frequently.
Yep.
Where to send the email.
The way that
At
Shelby
least once
sends an
an
email is
episode.
by walking into the next room and saying, "Hey, Nathan."
All right. Were you just
should
coming
probably-
here confused about what was
Yeah,
happening?
I was hearing something about the friend that finds corpses to be tasty, and he's a bird, and it's a vulture, and there's an experience when the girl was younger,
Yeah,
and I was like, what the heck is this?
pretty suspicious.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It seems like
So-
pretty standard stuff for our
Unless you go back to
podcast.
it.
We've
No,
definitely
I-
said weirder things on this podcast.
We have.
Mhm.
Alex says we've said weirder things
Mm,
on this podcast than that.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Say bye to the listeners.
Bye to the listeners.
Okay, I think
Bye,
that got picked
Shelby.
up. Alex says bye.
All
Great.
right. Well,
Perfect.
we should probably move on from these comments and move on to the actual story.
Yeah, so give me
Stories.
a number between 1 and 118, and I'll go find that prompt and read it.
Should it be like a whole number or?
Yeah, like a whole number.
All right. Let's go with 2.
2. What a number. Whoa. All right.
What's up?
Prompt number 2. A workaholic's wife commits suicide, and he's left to care for his 2 teenage daughters. How do his daughters express their hatred of him, and how does he try to win them over?
Okay, I don't know if we should do this one.
This is a pretty serious topic.
Yeah. Do you want to try it, or you just want to move on?
No, I think we can give this a solid shot, and if it doesn't go well, we can just skip. But
all right, so we've got a workaholic. His wife commits suicide. His daughters hate him. What does he do to win them over?
All right, so
right?
I think it would be. Let me rethink that entire sentence, and now that I've rethought that entire sentence, I'm not going to say it anymore.
And are we trying to make this like funny?
So, given that this is hypothetical, I don't think it's too insensitive to try and make it funny.
Okay.
So,
just to be clear, we'll just say the disclaimer: suicide is serious. We're not trying to make light of any real situation involving suicide, but it's a funny podcast, or hopefully
absolutely.
funny. All right. Okay. So the guy's wife commits suicide. His daughters hate him. He's a workaholic. Okay. Number one.
What's his job?
I was gonna say number one thought that comes to my mind is his job is something ridiculous. Like he's a workaholic, but his job is like he is a hot dog cart at a park, and he's just like there like in the middle of the night, and no one is there.
He's just there. He's there 24/7, and his wife has this like growing like envy of specifically the hot dogs because he spends all his time with the hot dogs. And
he's like, by the way, way too affectionate with the hot dogs.
Oh yeah, it's pretty gross. It's like it crosses lines. And his teenage daughters are well, they don't like hot dogs, but maybe the wife is like allergic to hot dogs.
What?
So like she gave him an ultimatum. She's like, it's me or the hot dogs, and he's like all torn up inside, and it's the night before their anniversary, and he's like, what am I gonna do? And obviously he's like in the middle of the night with his hot dog cart in the park. He's like, what am I gonna do? You know, with his the thinking pose of poking all his fingers into the sides of his head.
The listeners can't see, but his hands are flat against like
yes,
all fingers extended, pointing at his temples.
Elbows out as wide as you can go. It's kind of like a salute, but with both hands and then like above your ears instead. But anyway, so he's in that exact pose, right?
Right.
Covered in hot dog water, as he would be, you know, typically.
When there's no customers around, there's only one thing you can do with the hot dogs.
Yeah.
And it gets you covered in hot dog water.
Let's just leave it at that. and so he's like, what am I going to do? And he stays up all night agonizing about this, and he's finally like come to terms. Is like, okay, I've got a problem. I've got, you know, this obsession with hot dogs. It's ruining my marriage. I need to like be there for my wife on our anniversary. And since he's up all night agonizing about this decision and finally comes to that conclusion, unfortunately, he then falls asleep and misses the entire anniversary, and the wife is just so distraught that's what leads up to the events here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So we have our backstory. And so you say the daughters also don't like hot dogs?
Yeah, I don't think they should like maybe they do like hot dogs. Maybe they don't know what he does for a living, and he tries to win them over with hot dogs.
What if... Oh, excuse me. What if the daughters don't believe that he's really a hot dog vendor? They think he's like a secret agent, or he has some job that he can't or won't tell them about, and he just says that he's a hot dog vendor, but they're mad at him because they think he's lying. And they're like, if you're a hot dog vendor, what are you doing at night? Like, there's no reasonable explanation
you can't possibly
that you would be,
just be
working at night if you're a hot dog vendor.
Exactly. So he's trying to come clean about what's happening, and they're just like, I can't believe you're trying to tell us you're just a hot dog guy. And so why wouldn't he be able to just prove that he's a hot dog guy? What's the problem there?
Well, in order to prove it, he would have to be like, look, come to the park. I'll, you'll see me. I'll be wearing with the hot dog cart.
Yeah.
But they just don't have any interest in listening to him. They're already made up their mind that he's lying. And even if they did show up and he was at the hot dog cart, he could just have done that for the one day. They're just like, we're not listening to you. You're a bad person.
Okay, that makes sense because he's already probably pretty estranged from them as a function of being at the hot dog cart all the time, and so the rest of the movie would then be, or the story or whatever, would then be like him trying to craft a hot dog so perfect that his daughters can have no doubt that that's his craft. Making the hot dog that is so exquisite that it could only have been prepared by a master hot dog cart guy.
That's good. I was thinking maybe he just repeatedly leaves hot dogs in weird places for them to find. The one has a computer bag. She opens it up. There's a hot dog inside.
Okay, so that's what he tries at first, right? He's doing stupid stuff first, and then eventually he realizes, no, this is serious. I need to make the peak hot dog.
Yes, that's good. Yeah. And the other stupid thing he tries is to show up to follow them around with his hot dog cart.
Yeah.
But it's very incongruous places, just an office, and he just shows up with a hot dog cart, and the daughter's like, "Dad, you're going to great lengths to pretend you're a hot dog salesman. What are you doing here? Get out of here."
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe the one daughter's I don't know, what's another incongruous place that you can show up with a hot dog cart?
Maybe one of the daughters is I've been thinking an athlete, but in an unusual sport where you wouldn't normally expect. Because if it was baseball or softball or something, right, there's going to be a hot dog guy there. Uh-huh. But if she was into rowing or something like
right.
that,
he's on a boat with his hot dog cart trying to keep up with her.
Yep.
And by the way, we should probably come up with a name for the characters. Names for the characters.
Okay.
So presumably the hot dog cart guy is Greg.
Greg, yeah, that sounds about right.
What do you think the daughter should be?
All right, let's call one of them Gregette.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some resentment there, right? Because she's trying to, not be compared to Greg,
right?
With that kind of name.
Mm-hmm. And the other one is Emma. Gregette and Emma.
Gregette and Emma. Gregette has always been resentful.
It's funny. Right, it's funny because Gregette is I'm so mad that you named her a normal name and me Gregette.
Right.
And you named me after yourself. But then Emma is obviously she's the favorite, right? She's the one named after you. I'm just the one you don't care about.
Exactly. They're probably twins.
Okay, very good. So the story is, right, he does some kind of dumb, first he tries to leave them hot dogs. They're grossed out by it. Then he tries to show up. They think he's just doing this to make them think that he's a hot dog salesman. Finally, he's like, I need to craft the perfect hot dog. And obviously there would be a montage of him what are some interesting ways different things he could do to try and craft the hot dog differently?
So I think it's probably got to be some kind of him cooking it at the perfect rotational speed over the heat, getting the perfectly aligned grill marks, he's got a ruler.
I can see the shot of him looking. I can't show you on my camera, but looking down the slack.
Yes, absolutely.
good. Obviously, he would have to be like trying to spoon out exact measures of different toppings.
Right. There's got to be a fairly similar shot of him like his hand slightly shaking.
Right, with the ketchup.
He's got to do a perfect like wavy line down the hot dog.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right.
Maybe he tries to like mix up his own condiment, like that. Just he has the store bought. He's got like several bottles, and he's like tasting them, and he's like, "Ugh, this will never do." And he's like, you see him kind of like the idea pops into his mind, and then it cuts to a shot of him like picking tomatoes in a field and like mashing them up, and I don't know how to make ketchup, but
He's picking the tomatoes in a field, and the next shot is him just setting it right on top of the hot dog. No! And then he mashes it up.
Oh man. He's got to be like in a workshop for all of these shots, right? With like a workbench where he's doing all this stuff. And in the back you just see this mound of hot dogs growing and growing throughout the montage as he just like fails and throws the hot dog over his shoulder. And then at the end, after this like mound is built up and he's like in despair because nothing has worked, and he like puts his head down, and then he like hears a noise and kind of like turns, and there's this one hot dog kind of perched on the pile that has just been like hit in just the right way by all this stuff.
I was thinking that it would be like that's a good idea. I was thinking it would be like an inspirational sports movie. Like he just gets so frustrated, he gives up. He's like, you know what? I'm going to the bar. He goes to the bar, and then like at the bar, somebody says like the bartender or whatever says like something that's like unrelated to hot dogs, but like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, or gives him some like some like
he sits down at the bar.
To...
The bartender's like, "Hey, buddy, can I get you a drink?" And then he's like, "That's it. I needed the relish." It's just completely nonsense.
He's like, "That's it. I need to make a hot dog drink." No, that's stupid. It's just like over stupid. Like multiple times. He's like the bartender's like, and he has some epiphany, and it's like, no.
Incredible. That's it.
I'll have a scotch. Oh, you want ice or no ice? Ice. That's it. No, wait, that makes no sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, great. And then he comes up with the perfect hot dog using one of those two methods. And he gives it to his daughters.
I feel like he has to trick them into eating it somehow, right? Because they're like really upset about him for doing all this hot dog stuff. So that he has to like.
To me, like I imagine that could be one. I imagine like he invites over to his house. He's like, "Listen, just come over, eat a hot dog. If you don't believe me, if you don't like it, I'll never talk to you again. Right? I'll stop bothering you." And that's how he gets them to like come over, and they're just like, "Where's the hot dog? Let's get this over with." And they eat it, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing."
Yep. So
this is a really good hot dog.
They have this like nice bonding moment as a family. The daughters forgive him. They realize he's been telling the truth all along. They also trade names so that gets tied up. And yeah,
their hot dogs are individualized to each of them. So like
that's
Emma's like, oh, he does know me. Like he does care about me. Like he made this hot dog specifically for me.
Oh man, that's such a great touch. Yeah, they've each got personalized hot dogs. Incredible.
So, all right, I think we have come to the conclusion of this story. One last thing, what would the name of this movie be?
Oh man, I feel like there are a bunch of really bad, just like hot dog puns.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay, how would we do it? while also being tasteful about the fact that there's a suicide to kick this whole thing off.
Honestly, I think the best thing is to just mostly like ignore that fact.
Ignore that part. All right.
I guess. Nah. I guess the only thought that has any merit so far is like something like in a pickle, but that's not very good because pickle's not like a classic hot dog topping. Maybe something to do with hot water, hot dog water.
Hot Dog Water, the hit movie. I'm
No,
I'm trying to get somewhere with relish. I mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's a very good title word, you know?
Right.
Like it'd be a good tagline.
Right.
Like you've got to relish your
Yes.
time with your family.
There's also a good ketchup pun that you could use as a tagline, like he has to catch up with his daughters or something like that.
Yeah, there are so many pretty top tier taglines here, but what's the title?
All right, I can't think of a good title. Just like the best thing that I can think of is just like the Hot Dog Man or something like that, which honestly would
The
not be a
Hot
bad
Dog
title.
I mean
But it's not that.
that's his entire identity. I think that's the kind of classic title that just sums up
Yeah.
what a thing is about, you know?
Yes,
I'll
you would
take
hear
it.
that title and be like, "What the heck is that about? I have to go see that."
And then it's like a heartfelt family drama,
Right.
but a hot dog man. So you're like, yeah, okay.
Right.
That's why it was called that.
Checks out. All right, cool. Boom.
Well
We've
done
one
us.
story. Let's grab another prompt from the John Fox. Jump right into the next one.
All right, hit me with another number.
We just did 2, and
Yep.
what's the highest? The upper bound,
118.
118. Let's go all the way up to 3.
Alrighty. An ex-girlfriend of a novelist eagerly reads each of his new books, waiting to find a character based on her. But when she does, she's depicted as a liar, thief, and pedophile. What does she
my
do for revenge? It's pretty dark.
I want
Again.
to know how this girl knew that the character was based on her if the character was a liar, thief, and pedophile.
Now, that is a deep question. That is some real like self-reflection.
Did it just have the same name as her?
What if it's not? What if it's like she just like thinks it's her, but it's completely unrelated?
Right. That's good. Eventually, yeah, she just like reads into this character like, this is exactly me, but this character's terrible. Um,
It's like
okay.
the character is like described as attractive or something, and she's like, "All right, well, this is it. This has got to be me." And then it
Yes.
turns out to be the
That's
villain
good.
of the story.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess what's kind of the plot, I guess, here? Because, like, okay, the intro, right, is we see the girl, we see the guy, we see the relationship, we see her reading the books, wanting to find herself. She does, and that's kind of the trigger for the main plot. So is it just, like, her plotting this, like, elaborate revenge, or is she do something to get revenge and that triggers the rest of the plot, or what is the main story here?
Yeah. So the question that the prompt is asking is just what does she do for revenge? But in my opinion, I don't know that that's like a great story unless she's like coming up with some elaborate thing that you get to like see build up and play out. But like,
Mm-hmm.
so what if? Well, okay, I don't know if that really works. So if she's reading this book about this character and it's like a murder mystery or something like that, or I don't know, maybe not a murder mystery. But the things are liar, thief, and pedophile. I feel like pedophile is a little bit heavy, but maybe she like gets back at him by doing
the
some
things
like
in the book.
lying and thieving to him, and he's like trying to solve the mystery of what's happening to him until he makes the connection between the character and the person who it was like not about at all at first, right?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like there's
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think we can just kind of line it and veto the pedophile part.
we'll just ignore that bit.
Right. He writes the story, and in the story, right, the bad guy, bad lady, whatever, does I don't know, different things like and she does them to him. He realizes after a while he's like, wait a minute, this is exactly what's in my book. Like somebody's reenacting what's in my book. I feel like
So
he's able
to figure out what the next thing is going to be, which is obviously like the big climax of his story, like some big dramatic,
Right.
the thief like burned the house down or something, and he's got to, get back. And,
liar, thief, and arsonist, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, a little better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then so he figures it out, and then he he discovers her like doing it, but like whatever the thing is, burning the house down or whatever, and he's like,
Yeah.
It's you? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, getting back at you for naming this character after me, blah blah blah. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you think that character is based on you? And she's like, it was a beautiful woman. And he's like, I've had beautiful women in, like, all my books. Like, what? That's what sells. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why this one suddenly spoke to you.
That's good. I don't.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of running out of steam on this one.
Yeah, I don't feel like we have a lot of detail to throw in there, but that's a pretty decent arc. Somebody wants to sprinkle some condiments on that one.
I would relish that if they did.
Yeah.
Okay. Any just brief attempt to name this one?
Like the words that are coming to mind are like copycat or maybe just that. But I feel like there needs to be some kind of literary twist, right?
Uh-huh. Copy that. Copycat? More like copy that. More like copy
you.
Rat. Copy rat. Get it? Because she's like a rat. Because she does bad stuff or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There's something to that. It could be you could like figure out how to twist some plagiarism in there,
Copycat crime. Ooh, yeah. The plagiarizer. The 10 Sounds like plague, but I don't really think there's a way to make a play on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the plagiarizer's not bad.
Yeah, kind of short to the point. She's just stealing all of his work to get back at him.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Boom. 2 down. Only 53 minutes into the podcast. Let's do another one.
All right, we can squeeze one more in. Hit me with a number.
All right. I know that I've gone 2, 3. You might expect me to do 4, but I'm not.
Okay.
I will next go to number 23.
23. Incredible. Okay.
You just get it?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Number 23. A boy discovers a rare baseball card worth $15,000 in a shoebox in an abandoned lot. What does the boy do after his best friend steals it from him?
He just kills him.
It's a murder mystery. All right, here's a really stupid idea.
Yes.
His friend is the player on the card.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, like, why does he steal the baseball card?
Maybe he's embarrassed because it has really bad stats because he was a bad player.
What I want to know is why is there a shoebox in an abandoned lot with a $15,000 baseball card in it?
That's a good question. Maybe it was planted there by somebody trying to expose the baseball player and friend's past. Okay, so here it is. This player isn't like he's not a.
And by the way, what's this player's name?
Probably. Let's call him Joel Gregson for now.
Right. Sure.
So, all right, I'm gonna need some baseball context here. Is there who would you consider to be like the rival team to the Phillies?
Probably historically, the Mets or the Braves are probably the two. Right now, it's the Braves.
All right, we talked about the Braves earlier in the episode, so let's go with that. It might not be as. I feel like baseball rivalries are harder than other sports rivalries, right? Because you just play so many games.
Yeah, there's not as many like really like this team hates that team like there is in football or other sports.
What if we just, I don't know that it'll make a difference for our listeners, but what if we just change the sport to football so that it makes a little bit more sense?
Okay, tell me why. What do you need like the rival team for?
Yeah, let me go through this. So the overview is this player is like a well-known like sports figure in Philadelphia, and he has this like mysterious, like back in his playing days or something, there's all these legends about, how he was so good for the Phillies or whatever team this ends up being. And it turns out that this baseball card reveals that he spent his rookie season for the other team. Right? And he's been covering that up this entire time because that was before he got like really famous. And so his friend discovers this baseball card and is like, he shows it to the player and he's like, look at this like, weird misprint or whatever. Is this true? And they kind of like laugh it off, but then like he breaks into his house and steals the card to cover it up.
Okay, this is interesting
because if he gets
really
exposed, he's like the hometown hero, right? And if he gets exposed as having played for the other team, and there was like a really contentious game that season between the two teams, right? And
which
like he was the deciding
won
factor
it for the other team,
yeah,
right? Yeah, this is good. This really subverts the whole like you think the friend like when you read this prompt, you think that the friend is stealing the card because it's worth $15,000.
Exactly.
Also, yeah. So I guess this card is worth $15,000 because it's so rare. To find one of the card with this piece of information on it. I guess this guy has somehow like. I don't really know how this guy's prevented this piece of information from getting out there, but maybe he somehow has. And not only that,
it happened a long time ago before all the stats were so meticulously documented.
Right, there's no pictures of him or anything. Right. And also, yeah, he's prevented the baseball card companies from printing the proper stats up until this point.
Right. So this is like the earliest thing before he got famous enough.
Printed. Right, this is printed before he got them to stop, like. And he thought he destroyed them all, but did not.
Right.
Wow, this is really absurd. So we're on the right track then. Okay, so yes, so so the kid just I really think that there's no explanation. That he just walks into an abandoned lot and there's just like a pristine shoebox there with only this card in it.
Exactly,
it's never
yeah.
explained why it's there.
Yeah.
Like it's not like anyone planted it there, which is what you would think if you saw this in real life. It's just happened to be there. So this
Exactly,
kid,
yeah.
No, he's not a kid, obviously, because his friend is a Major League Baseball player.
Well, yeah, he
or
could
maybe
be a
it's
kid. It could be a kid
Well-
and like his old retired, like, you know, like the old guy that you hang out
sure.
with from
Yes,
time to time or
that's
whatever.
true.
Like the family friend kind of guy.
Uh-huh. So the baseball player's not still playing, is what you're saying.
Right. He's
No.
like a retired like legend.
Right, he lives in the city that he
Yeah.
played in his whole career. Right, he throws out the first pitch at baseball games. He goes to like all the local stuff. Everyone loves him. Right.
And he's built up this whole like image of just hating on the other team and like, you know, comically over the top, like
Right.
just all this stuff that like if it ever came out that he had actually played there, it would just
Which for some reason the like people on the other team who like know that he was on their team just don't say anything.
somehow this has all been covered up. There's no one else but him.
They all call him. They all like, hey, like you know, he played for our team, right? Everyone in the town's like, they're lying. We know that they
Those liars, those guys, they're all just
we would know if he had played for the Braves, right? Like he would stink. Okay, so great. So this is the premise, and so the kid or I get, let's say it's a kid. What's the kid's name?
I think the kid's name should also be Joel because he's named after the player who is like
Right,
his personal
he's named
hero.
after the player. Jolson.
Yes.
Is the kid, right? So the kid finds the baseball card, and is like, "Wow, this is cool. Look at this. It says you played for the Braves. That's crazy, haha!" Right? And Joel Gregson is like, "Haha, yeah, crazy." But that night he like sneaks into the kid's house and steals the card. Okay, is there any reason that he should not just immediately destroy the card?
Maybe he feels guilty about betraying because like the kid is like, I bet this is worth a lot of money because, you know, like it's a really rare mistake or whatever,
Like misprint. Mm-hmm.
And he's like he gets it, and like obviously in the past he's been getting these and just like burning them immediately or whatever, and he
Right.
like goes to do that, and you see this like moment of hesitation, and he's like, should I is it finally time to just give up on this facade so that this kid who's really poor, like this would be his college money or something, you know,
Right.
like this would make a big difference in his life. He's like,
Right.
am I really gonna like ruin this kid's future to save my own image?
Mm-hmm.
But he does still steal the card. He keeps it while he's trying to like decide.
Yeah, so
this,
to me,
right?
like he doesn't have quite that moral dilemma yet,
Uh-huh.
right? Because that's kind of like more like for near the end,
We
right?
build to that.
Where
Yeah,
he's,
yeah. Okay.
Right. But yeah, he like holds it, and then you like hear the voice of the kid in his head being like, "Now I'll finally be able to go to college" or something like that. And he's
now
like,
we'll be able to eat. It's just real bad. It's like,
really, the kid meant eat the baseball card, but that's not important. But he's like, and then he doesn't light it on fire. But you're right, like he keeps it.
yeah, he like hears a sound upstairs in the house, and he has to run before he has a chance to, you know.
Oh right, this is at yeah. And the kid's awake, so like he goes home, and the kid finds out like, oh no, my card's missing. So he like calls up the friends. This is also like a friend gets the baseball player Joel Gregson.
Right.
Gets back to his house, but he can't burn it there because the kid's calling him, and he's like, "Come over, help me look for my card." Okay, we need somewhere for this to go, or I mean, we have somewhere for it. We need some way to get there. Like, how do we get from here to the guy eventually gives the card back, admits to the world that he played for the team for 1 year, for the Braves for 1 year.
And he's run out of town. There's no
he's run out of town and he's like beaten up like pretty badly or something like.
But then Joel Jolson is like, but wait, if Joel Gregson played for the Braves, maybe they're not all horrible monsters. And like the next generation, like you can tell, there's gonna like start to mend the relationship in a very small way. But like the rest of the
relationship between the Phillies fans and the Braves fans is what you're talking about?
Like this particular kid, he personally is not going to hate the Braves forever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's like
or maybe
nothing
he does.
is the
Maybe
thing.
he just doesn't learn anything. And it's just this like huge tragedy.
The problem is we didn't set it up in a way that showed that where we were saying the problem was like the greater conflict between the Braves fans and the Phillies fans. We kind of just said the main conflict is this guy is hiding from everyone that he was played for the Braves.
Right.
At the end of the story is just like this kid like going to Atlanta and like meeting Braves fans, being like, "Holy crap, these are just normal people," and like this like no. The turns out there is this rivalry. It's kind of like a background to the story that we're telling. Is like that it's like a flame war between the Braves fans and the Phillies fans, like never focused on. But we just like see a newspaper that says like 3 dead in like Braves related shooting or something like that. And in the end, like maybe the Braves aren't so bad after all. And then there's like a huge reconciliation. You're just like, where did this come from? Like this came out of nowhere. Yeah. This is not what we were building to. Okay, we're kind of off the rails at this point. What happens after he steals the card?
So we've got to have some reason for like time to pass, and he gets continuously like unable to destroy it until he like starts to have a change of heart. So
I think that when the kid is looking for the card, he's just talking about how distressed he is. So when the player gets back to his house, he looks at the card, he's like, nah, maybe not now. I'll leave it for now. Like
I'll just wait until he forgets about it. He's just a kid. And
yeah, something like that. You just can't bring yourself to do it right now. So
it's gotta turn into something big. Like more and more people get like pulled into this search until finally he's like, all right, I've got to come clean. Here it is. This is my past.
The kid has to like call like the radio, like sports radio or something like that, and be like, I had this card of Joel Gregson, but it said he was on the Braves, and the sports radio people are like, we can never have a card like that in existence. We can't have anyone ever even thinking that he was on the Braves. Yeah. We have to find this card. And like getting everyone in the city to like.
Oh, so everyone else is looking for it also to destroy it. And then Joel Gregson is finally like, no, I've got to come clean. This is true.
That's a good point. If everyone is looking for it to destroy it, why doesn't he just be like, oh, here it is.
Here it is. I'll destroy it then. Huh.
Well, obviously, I guess the kid didn't want it to be destroyed. Okay, so yeah, they don't want it to destroy it. They were
they wanted like this would be like just the people in the city want it destroyed. Outside the city, like in any other like sports market or whatever, you would be able to get good money for it because everyone else is just like, oh yeah, he was on the Braves, whatever.
Yeah, but the cards are still super rare because Joel Gregson has destroyed a lot of them.
Yeah. All right, so that helps.
I love how Philadelphia is just like an isolated bubble where they just like don't listen to anyone else.
It's like nobody arrives or leaves from Philadelphia. It's just they all are single-mindedly.
Okay, no, this is what it is. Everyone in the city is looking for this card to destroy it. Now the kid is like oh no, Joel, like you have to help me look for this card so that I can sell it and not just like it so it won't be destroyed.
Yes.
And the baseball player Joel is in like this dilemma of like, I have the card and I want it to be destroyed, so I could just say I found it and give it to, whoever, and they would destroy it. But this kid really needs it and wants it. So he kind of just like plays along with the kid looking for it for a while. But eventually he like, it's like, no, I have to give it to this kid. Yeah, he gives the kid the card. He comes clean, and then yeah, it should just be some dumb ending. Like then he gets like run out of the city, and the kid sells it, and it becomes like the richest person in the city, and I don't know, something dumb like that.
It turns out that instead of being worth 15,000, this just happens to be the last one in existence. And some like billionaire is like, I've got to have this for my collection.
Yeah, I will give you $50 million for this card.
Exactly.
Cool. I think that's probably good, right? What's the name of this movie?
We gotta have some kind of like rivalry in there, or like a disguise. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like the hidden
Secret identity.
Secret identity. Yeah. Gotta work that in there. The double agent.
The double agent, like a baseball player. There's definitely a brave pun somewhere that can be used.
Yeah. Is he brave enough to come out to the Philadelphia fans?
There was one that I just thought of. It's not that good. Like an ID card, but secret identity card, secret ID card,
because it's a
something
card
like that.
Yeah. I feel like there were enough half ideas there to kind of put together into a whole.
Yeah,
idea.
we can just
use your
say that we came up with an idea and just move on without actually saying what the title would be.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, that's. I think we're at an hour 11. I think that's probably good.
It could never have been any other way.
Yes. Thank you for listening, everyone, to this episode. If you have any feedback or suggestions or any thoughts of any kind, feel free to send us an email. Any final thoughts?
I was trying to come up with an Olive Garden quote, but I wasn't clever enough to do so here in the middle of this Olive Garden.
Very good. Tune in next time to hear us talk about maybe the top 10 pieces of clothing.
Looking forward to that.
So, all right. Have a good week, everyone. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been
Joel.